Hello.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Brandy Brow, and I'm here with my co-host, Melissa Stroh, for another session of Writer's Chat. And today, back by popular request, we have a Come Write With Us music edition. So I'm really excited to share with you the music selections that I've chosen and the couple of sessions we're going to do today. I'm going to try and get in 3 writing sessions. So I would encourage everybody to either grab a piece of paper, or if you want to type on your computer while you are either watching the replay or in-house today, that would be great because I want to spend a little bit of time doing writing. I was going to say something, I don't remember what it was, but that's okay. We're going to get started right away with the first writing segment. Oh, that's what it was. We're going to share in between segments. And when we share, I'm going to ask people to use the raise your hand reaction at the bottom. That way it will just help us to be a little bit more orderly and to know when people want to share instead of me hunting around on the screen. And that'll work good. So for this first music session, we are going to play a little bit of something, and I want you to just write down any characters, scenarios, or situations with characters or people or anything that comes to mind. I'm not looking for, write a whole big long thing. We're going to run for about 4 minutes. It's not going to be very long, but I think it will be fun. And this is to stimulate your imagination. This music should give you some pictures of something. I'm just excited to share it with you. So let me go find what I got here. Just going to double check and make sure I'm on my right setting. Okay. And yay, we figured out how to do the sound from the video. So I'm really excited about that. Let's make sure I get it right though. Okay. We're going to screen share and here we go. Oh, yes. Give me a minute to click all my little boxes. All right. Here we have my little friend here. All right. Everybody ready?
Ready.
All right. You hear the music, right?
Yep, I can hear the music.
Awesome.
How about our audience here? People can chime in the chat. Let us know if you need the volume changed or if you can hear it. Everyone should be. All right.
All right, that was Patricia. I see you're not an animal person. We're not going to do only that. That was just a fun, get us to know, get kind of engage and wake everybody up, and maybe just give everybody a little bit of smile. I have no idea how they got that dog to wear glasses. That is a very good question. I'm going to stop this particular share. I wanted to comment. The next music segment will have 2 music pieces back to back, and there will be a break in between where there's nothing. And the same thing with the last one. We'll do a longer segment where there will be a few different pieces with breaks in between of silence, but it will continue to play. So yeah, the next segments, Patricia, are not going to be that wake you up, oh my gosh. So if you want to stay, oh, she's gone. But the next segments are not going to be that quite rowdy. But those are just to kind of get things moving along. Did anybody have any thoughts? For me, I don't know, I thought of balls in the air, people looking around at things, something skittering around their feet. I thought of chaos, running in circles. The big thing is it just kind of made me smile. And it woke me up, which is nice. But is there anything else? What did you guys come up with that you wanted to share? And if you guys want to come on screen in between the sharing segments, you're welcome to come back on screen and share. Melissa, did you come up with anything just for, something that came to mind, some pictures that came to mind?
I pictured kind of a bumbling character, the kind who probably thinks he's pretty cool, even though he's a bit of a nut and quirky, and kind of dances to the beat of his own music, even though nobody else can hear it. So that was kind of the thing that came to my mind.
What about anybody else? I think the visuals were an influence. Yeah. Well, you can always shove that aside if you want to, and you had trouble focusing on writing because of the dog and music. My main point of choosing this, I know it was really rowdy, but I did it because I felt that even if you didn't come up with something to put down on a piece of paper, it stimulated the creative mind in some way, even if you don't feel like it did, and it maybe felt a little bit distracting, but it got you thinking in a different frame of mind than when you first came into the chat. And that was my main goal. I didn't expect you to write down a whole bunch of stuff. I just wanted to stimulate some other part of your brain, wake it up a little bit, so that we can move on to the next writing segments, because they're not going to be anywhere near as wonky as that one. I guess I should have warned y'all. That was my goal in the beginning. But the second section is actually going to be really, really different, because this music segment is going to focus on the emotions. I want you to listen to the music. This is going to be about 7 minutes long. And I want you to write down whatever emotions that you feel from this music, how it makes you feel. Think about sensory detail. If you have pictures come to mind, write down all of the sensory details of those pictures you see, write down everything you observe, write down everything that it makes you feel, and just put that on the page. So the first segment was really just a, think about some kind of crazy character or whatever, just get you thinking. But this one, I want you to really tap into your emotions. Um, and this one is not crazy. There's going to be no more crazy music, I promise. So I'm going to get rid of this screen and I will start this one. Let me just make sure I'm on the right place. Yep, I'm on the right section. All right. Did anybody else want to share anything from the last section before we move on? You're welcome to. And if you want to share a little bit later, we can always share, and then we do have the after party. So that's fine as well. All right, I see he raised hands, so we will move on to the next segment. Oops, I moved my screen. I need my screen share. There we go. And I wanted to share that all of this music is used by permission of Feslian Studios, and I will post all of that in the chat later on. Oops, I stopped it. Sorry about that. Sorry, people. I hit the wrong thing and it switched the music on me. There we go. All right. As I said, much different than the first set. Everybody can come on if you would like, to share that, um, what that music brought to mind. Um, I actually had a little bit of a difficult time writing because it just evoked a lot of emotion in me, and I found it difficult to put words to the things that it made me feel. Um, but I did come up with a few things, and at one point, I moved into the state of a fictional woman, um, and how she felt. Um, what I wrote was, why couldn't he have stayed with me? I'm alone, longing, with an open breath before me to walk, and I don't know how to do this on my own. But I will go, move forward, because I'm really not alone. My comforter is with me and he will help me. But why? I've lost so much, and he didn't mean to leave. He wanted to stay too. My heart yearns. That was about all I could really come up with. But I really love that music, so personally. But what did other people come up with that? There's a couple things in the chat, and I'll read those. But I'd like to know if anybody would like to share on screen before I read some of those.
Mine was a little disjointed, but I had a little something that came up. My brain automatically, of course, goes to historical fiction, so I started picturing a battlefield, and I had blood clouded the floodwaters in the marsh plain. Carrion birds circled overhead, and their mocking cries beating down on him heavier than the muck weighing his feet. Bodies strewn a field insurmountable, the hundreds floating in the estuary, unfathomable. How many foe and how many his sword brothers was beyond his discernment. And that's what I came up with.
I like that. Does anybody else want to share? If you do, you can raise your hand digitally. In the meantime, I will share. Let's see. I do want to share from the last segment. Sally said that the dog video music made her happy and excited and anticipatory, and it reminded her of going to a circus or a stage show with those types of elements. I agree with that. And this particular music, she said, makes me feel a bit somber, also comforted. It reminds me of a rainy day where I can relax and get cozy. I also feel like the credits should be rolling, or a movie that's amping up for a climax. I totally agree with that. And then Jocelyn says, dreary, dark day with the wind howling, an individual walking on the beach by the sea. As the sea beat the shore, the individual kept on walking with their face drawn with concern, once in a, once in a while looking out to the sea, as though they were looking for something. They turn their back and walk away, leaving the beach as the waves still pounding. And also, she wrote, the streets seemed empty. The currents were drawn shut. A current cracked open and a white glimmer of light shone through. I love those images. It's funny how music can bring up pictures in the mind. The currents were drawn shut. Yes, curtains. She probably did mean curtains. Yeah. Yep. Does anybody else want to share? I would like to know what you think of this so far. Um, Sally says, I like how music can inspire. I do too. Does anybody else have anything they want to add? Jocelyn said, yes, curtains.
I do like the range of emotions it's kind of taken us from. We jump from one to the other pretty quickly with those two selections alone. So it'll be interesting to see what we get with the rest of them.
Yep. Does everybody want to continue on to the last segment? That will be 15 minutes approximately. And then we can share after that. This will be the last segment. Leslie says that she loves the music. It made her feel she was in a dramatic scene. I agree. Yep. And what I really love about music sometimes is that it can express sometimes where words fail. And then it's tricky when you have such deep emotion and you can't put the words out, and then trying to take the emotions out and put the words in can be a challenge sometimes. And in those cases, if you're like drawing a blank, but you have just emotion, then sometimes just write emotion, deep feeling. I'll just write those things. And I did write some of that. I wrote, first thing that I wrote in this segment was deep emotion, soul, moving, contemplative, emotion lodged in my chest, swelling, feeling. Um, then I wrote looking out at the mountains across an expanse of the heart that widens, deepens, grows. And those were like my the beginnings of trying to pull out words from what I was feeling. And so, that's okay to do that. And it's okay to not have anything either, but get you stimulated. When we listen to music or do anything artsy or draw and we stimulate that side of the brain, it opens up our ability to create. It opens our ability to think beyond the blocked patterns and segmented things and the orderly stuff that we have to do day to day. So that's why I really like these segments, because they help us work that part of our minds that can sometimes not get enough exercise. I know that's the case for me. Let's see, one more thing. Where Leslie said she didn't think to write what she was feeling, but that makes sense. So that's good. That makes sense. Yep, you can always write that. So this last segment, as I said, will be about 15 minutes long. There will be noted pauses between each piece of music. It's approximately, I think, 4 or 5 pieces, but they all have the same genre, if you will, type of emotion. So it's not going to jump from like really wacky to really emotional, like the first couple of pieces that I chose. And so for this, I'd kind of like you to start writing whatever comes to mind. It doesn't have to be fiction. If you're a nonfiction writer, you can write whatever comes to mind. A subject, you might have a subject that comes to mind that you want to write on, and just go with that. But I'd like you to think about trying to write something somewhat cohesive. So you can pull in your ideas of, scenarios and situation and characters that the first music segment might have got you thinking, might have stimulated, and then pull in some of the emotions and sensory details that the second music segment worked to stimulate, and then try and draw it all together in whatever you can come up with. And if you get to a point, you start writing and then you just draw a blank, skip a line, start something new, and go again until the music ends. And then when the music ends, I'll come back, and I would love it if you would share anything that you wrote during this last segment or the rest of the other segments. And then that'll take us to the top of the hour. So let me go find my music. Make sure I am again on the right section here. All right. Never mind the little Spider-Man-y dude. You can ignore him and just pay attention to the music. All right, that's the end of the writing segment. I'd love it if everybody would come back on screen. That'd be great. I could see y'all.
I will release any videos if anybody is in writer's chat jail. So yeah, everybody come back on video.
So nice to see your faces. So I would like to know, first of all, before you share anything, what you thought of that last writing segment or any of these writing segments.
That one I almost kind of got lost in with my project. It was definitely oh gosh, I'm trying to even think of the words. Just hey, you get into the music and the mode of it all, and you kind of forget words for a moment. But yeah, it definitely started painting a lot of pictures in my mind, and just get into that fury of activity, trying to translate all the imagery that comes into words. I
Mm.
had fun.
Anybody else? What did you think?
I loved it because it allowed me to write a future scene in my project. A scene that I know is coming. It's very tension filled. Um, it's the main character trying to get to the other main character in after the earthquake has happened. So it's very intense. And I don't know whether it's because of the little Spider-Man guy that was on the screen that made me think rescue, rescue. So that's what I was writing. And it was really great with the music. I was able to really get into it and get into that tension. So I loved it.
Awesome.
Anybody else? Or do you want to share if you had any trouble writing during any of these segments? I did.
What was your struggle, Brandy?
Words. Words. This I'd forgotten because it's been a little while since I have done writing to music like this. I'd forgotten that for me to actually get words down, I actually need to close my eyes and listen to the music, and then just keep my hands on the keyboard and type what comes into my mind. Once I did that with this last segment, I was able to see a scene, and now I have an idea for a new story. Because I just saw this picture, this something happening. The music just stimulated this scene before me, so I was able to put it down. But I couldn't see it until I closed my eyes. So that's a really good tip for you if you want to stimulate your creativity and work that mind. Is put on a piece of music, close your eyes, hands on the keyboard, and type any image that comes into your mind. It's bound to bring something, even if it's like I see purple. I get stuck a lot. So that's one of the reasons I like to do this. Either just writing. That's even actually why Come Write With Us came about, because um, I sometimes get really stuck. So I'm like, okay, this is something I need in my life. So let's see if anybody else would like to do this, because I think other people would need it. So any other thoughts? And maybe anybody want to share what you actually wrote? Jocelyn put something in the chat um, that I can share. I'll read that while any of the rest of y'all brave people want to raise your hand. Or she wrote, a gentleman in an allied uniform walked down the street. The people stepped aside with a mutter. One young man smiled. He says, "She's in the hall, sir." As he continued, he turned his head and thanks the boy. He picks up his pace and found his way to the market. He looked around, couldn't find her. Where was uh, where was she? Had she left? John, John, she's at the baking table on the other side. John picked his way through the crowd. He wanted to run. The baking table came into view. There she was, handing a cookie to a young boy. a boy that was spitting a spitting image of him. Yeah, of him. He crooked Janet, darling Janet. Her head turned in his direction. Would she see him? He stepped forward. As he turned round, she stopped, as she did not know what to do. He smiled and said, Janet, it's me. John, John, as tears rolled down her cheeks. He rubbed them away and embraced her. It's going to be fine, he replied. Mommy, is he daddy? Asked the little boy. Janet pulled away from his embrace and looked at the boy. Yes, John, he is. I think that's just so neat. So neat. That is totally different than what was in my head. Thanks for sharing that, Dawson. I love that. And you know what? One point is, if I read anything that sounded a little wonky, don't worry about it, because anything you write down in this, you're not going to have perfect grammar, perfect words. You're bound to have typos. I have typos. That's not the point of all this. The point of all this is just to stimulate your brain and put something new down and exercise this creativity.
Mm-hmm.
Would anybody else like to share?
I was just wanting to emphasize what you said, that there are definitely no wrong submissions or responses here.
Yeah.
Anyone shouldn't feel embarrassed by it, because it's just evocative in the moment. What inspires you, what comes to mind. It's fun just to see the variety that hits everyone, how differently the music impacts them.
Yeah, like before, there was, the mention of currents, and maybe should have been curtains. So that's okay. Easy to fix later on if you want to do something with it, no big deal. Anybody else like to share? Everybody's quiet. If you don't want to share, you don't want to share on the recording, that's totally fine. If you feel brave and would like to share in the after party, that is fine too. Not everybody wants to share what they come up with on screen when it's recorded and put on YouTube later. I understand that. Everybody else understands that as well. We are coming to the top of the hour. So let's see. I will share a little snippet of what I wrote, and then maybe Melissa, you can talk about what's coming up next week. Okay. So the beginning, what I wrote, I'm not gonna share the whole thing. It's not very big, but still. Swelling, standing on the edge of a precipice, he looked down. The villagers scattered, screaming, running. Fire shot out at them from the sky seekers, and he was helpless to save any of them. One sky seeker swooped down toward his hiding place on the mountain. He hadn't hidden himself well enough from his former faction. I knew you'd be here, said this one sweeping by, his thoughts piercing his mind like a Syrian javelin through his head.
Ooh.
Yeah, so very different from what Jocelyn came up with.
I could see epic fantasy coming out of epic music. It makes sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah. So what do we have on tap for next week, Melissa?
All right, so next week we are going to have the lovely Eva Marie Everson joining us to talk about the third path. And she wants everyone to know ahead of time that you're going to need to bring your Bibles and some note-taking materials, because this is going to be an in-depth lesson that she's leading for us, and it should be really fun. I don't know all the exact details about where all we're going to pursue and what aspect of writing this is going to enter in, but it's always pretty rich when Eva comes to teach, and so I know everyone's going to be in for a treat for that one. So
yep, very good.
Prepared.
That's right. Next Tuesday is actually Halloween, and I'd forgotten that. But yeah, there will be a great lesson for that day, so we look forward to that. We would like to thank everybody who joined us today, and anybody who is watching the replay. We invite you all to come and join us every Tuesday. Most Tuesdays we won't be here, for holiday time. Things change a little bit, but most Tuesdays at 11 o'clock Eastern, 10 o'clock Central, and all the way down the line that way. Of course, we always welcome anybody internationally that speaks English. Love to have you. Also, if you would like to join us live, join us on Writers Chat Members group on Facebook. That is where you will get all of the information for how to make it here live and learn about upcoming lessons. And for those of you who might not know or are just catching this or got a referral to this replay once it's posted. We post all of our videos on YouTube, the Serious Writer channel. And so you can find lots and lots of teaching from many years now, going back, and lots of good information that you can look up there. But we post most all of our Writers Chat sessions on replay and YouTube. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for Melissa for joining with me. And thank you for everybody being here today. And I hope that this has been beneficial and get you thinking about using music to stimulate your creativity in writing. Thank you. And we will see you next week with Eva Marie Everson. Thanks. Bye.